Happy Monday, everybody. All right, today we're going to talk about India. So last week, Thursday and Friday, Vladimir Putin met with the Prime Minister of India, Modi. And actually, let's go back right before that point, before that meeting. Russia and the United States were meeting in another peace negotiation, trying to establish peace and end the war between Russia and Ukraine. That fell apart. No peace deal. Immediately after, Russia and India are meeting. Okay, so now let's look at the bigger picture. President Trump really wants to end this war with Ukraine. Trump knows that one of Russia's most valuable assets that it creates money from is its oil, right? And so not only has the United States punished Russia with sanctions for this war, now Trump is establishing tariffs to nations that are friendly with Russia to stop them from buying Russian things. One of those countries is India, one of the five BRICS nations. And we'll review that again: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. We talk about that a lot because they're a major power here. Well, India is one of the largest economies in that group of five. India has been buying a lot of oil from Russia. In fact, so much so that at the time Russia invaded Ukraine, they were only buying about 2% of their oil from Russia. Last year, they bought a third of their oil from Russia. So then Trump hit India hard with tariffs, trying to slow down that money supply for Russia. So Trump has now established 50% tariffs on India for everything that India sells to the United States. His goal is to break India's will to slow down their purchasing oil. And he's made it very clear. And if they can do that, then that slows down Russia's money supply to help fund the war. Well, has it worked? Have these tariffs worked? Kinda, a little bit, but not a ton, because Putin and Modi are meeting last week. So what has happened? Well, India has slowed down on the purchase of oil a little bit, but not much. So now this is where Vladimir Putin is coming to the table, trying to reestablish efforts and relationships with India. Now let's take another step back. You've got these five countries in the BRICS group, and they're a unifying source, but they're not all best friends. They just have similar interests, which is they want financial independence and they don't want to be told what to do by the United States or by Europe as much. But it doesn't necessarily mean they're friends. And so the biggest purchaser of oil from Russia is China. Well, what would happen if China all of a sudden pulled the plug on that purchasing of oil? Russia's reliant on China. So it's in Russia's best interest to make sure they have multiple customers. Hence this meeting between Russia and India this last week. Okay, so how did this meeting go? Well, the details aren't clear, but we do know the Russian oil was at play, but also arms sales to India. Russia makes a lot of they've got a strong military, they make a lot of military weapons. India can use those. And so there was agreements, and now India has downplayed what those agreements are. Russia has said, yes, those military agreements are definitely on the table, but we know that they were a consideration between the two countries. And why does India want those weapons? Well, they are part of that contentious five country group also. And then it's not just the five, by the way, as a tangent, there's a bunch of other countries that are involved in the BRICS groups. Okay, so this is right on the heels of the Washington India Washington Russia breakdown in the Ukraine war. Now you've got Washington, India coming to, or I'm sorry, Russia and India coming together to discuss future economic partnerships. Okay, Greg and I find this interesting because So much of this is about natural resources, oil. We've talked to our clients about investing in energy, and one of the things that Modi was saying is how the sanctions against India for buying Russian oil are unfair since the United States buys uranium and nuclear energy from Russia. And Europe is buying liquid natural gas from Russia because they need energy. And India is saying, hey, it's all energy, whether it's oil or uranium or natural gas, it's all energy. We need it too. How will this play out? We don't know, but there's definitely a chessboard war going on right here with multiple players. Okay, now here's one more thing about India that I found interesting, and this ties with what Greg was talking about. Last month, the central bank for India announced that they are going to make an official policy that silver can now be used for money. They're going to allow silver as collateral for loans. So if you've got silver, you need money, you can go to the bank and exchange it, either sell it directly for money, like a lot of people do, but also just use it as collateral, as a loan, and then use that money out on the open market. Now, this is a big play because India consumes a lot of silver, and not just like in industry, like what Greg was talking about, but India is actually the largest consumer of silver for non industrial uses, for jewelry, for silverware, for decorations around the home. And it's because it's a store of wealth, just like we've talked about, just like it always has been since the beginning of time. So now India has formally announced that it will now be a source of monetization in their own economy. And they've got a lot of silver there. Well, what does that mean for the price of silver or for the demand of silver? Well, people that own silver are probably going to get a little more because they know it's good as money for them. They're already consuming a lot. This happened last month, along with the run up in price that we've seen. This buildup might have had an impact on the ultimate price of silver also. Now, when will this policy go into play? Not until late spring of 2026. So we have a few months. So right now it's just policy going into play, and we're already seeing the prices move. So like Greg was saying, and I've said before, we don't expect the prices to slow down anytime soon. And it's not just because of what you see going on in your portfolio, it's because of what we see going on around the world. So that's it for this week. Hope you guys like the video. See you next week. Bye-bye.